On August 3, 2023, I took a ferry to see Lanai, which is just across the water here from Lahaina. People not familiar with Hawaii might get the two names Lahaina and Lanai confused, since they differ by only one consonant and a syllable. But they are two completely different places. The name Lahaina means cruel or merciless sun, where La means sun and Haina means cruel or merciless, describing the hot and dry climate of the district. On the other hand, the name Lanai means shelter from the sun. La means sun, but Nai means to conquer or defeat. Here, to escape from. It means just a porch or veranda. I have made a few comments on my previous video about thinking these fires to be caused by solar flares. That is to say, the destruction of Lahaina was caused by a cruel and merciless sun. The sun passes every 11 years through an intense and then subdued cycle. In the 3 days before Maui's fires, there were 2 severe X-class solar flares and 1 strong M-class flare. These were on August 5th, 6th and 7th, with the fires happening on the 8th. These flares were among the strongest solar flares for the whole year, and all within 3 days. Then, on the following day, the 8th, fires broke out in Lahaina. A similar situation occurred in Canada earlier this year. On June 2nd, there were sudden and unexplained wildfires which sprung up all across Canada in one day. Here's a clip from the earthquake channel dutchsinse. It shows a time-lapse satellite video of Canada along with wildfires indicated by their smoke trails. As the video runs, they start up simultaneously over all of Quebec. This prompted theories of sabotage, arson, and the charge that directed energy weapons were used. We've heard the same thing seriously suggested as a cause for the fires in Lahaina. You may also remember the news reports of New York suspending public schools and businesses due to the hazardous air condition from the smoke of those wildfires. Canada's fires happened just as Lahaina's did after a period of strong flares. In the fortnight before June 2nd, there were 8 strong solar flares, all of which were in the top 50 for the year. They were between M4.2 and M9.62 on the intensity scale. M9.62 is itself almost an X-class flare. The 3 big features of the solar cycle are 1. Sunspots, 2. Solar flares, which usually come out of sunspots, and then 3. The biggest feature, the most dangerous, are the CMEs, or the coronal mass ejections. If these cross paths with the Earth, as scientists tell us, it can cause things like the Carrington event of 1859, which destroyed the newly assembled telegraph industry of that time. Most electrical devices were overloaded, short-circuited, and even burst into flames. These sunbursts will even ignite paper or dry bark that is in open view of the sun. The solar maximum for the cycle we are in now is expected in 2025, which is a year and a half away. But in terms of solar activity, we are already well ahead of that schedule. News reports that radio communications are being interrupted by solar flares, including cell phone and internet communications. If your internet or cell phone goes offline for a couple hours, the reason may well be a solar flare taking place that you might hear about on the news later that day. During the Lahaina wildfires, there was no cell phone service. Wind had blown down the repeater towers, but solar flares might be just as involved. Here we have a prediction of the strongest solar cycle since records began. But at the same time, Scientists have proposed that instead of a much higher peak to the current cycle, we will merely have a cycle of normal intensity, but which peaks earlier. In the coming years we will be waiting to see which is correct. It would be naive to overlook an obvious explanation for all of these fires as being the sun, since by the current model the sun is predicted to become even more intense than it is right now. We might expect the sun to obey and respect us, but at the same time, it can also be cruel and merciless, as is revealed by the name of Lahaina.